Yes. Thank you, Akhilesh. Yes, so let's get started. Yes, they're coming, but let's start. I'll repeat a bit. Anyhow, it's the introduction that we'll start with. Okay. So, how many students are coming? 21. Okay, let them come. So, 5 topics we'll deal. First, this RBI ESMA. This is the European Union's body. So, there is basically a memorandum of understanding, that is MOU, that is signed between RBI and then ESMA. Now, this memorandum of understanding is with respect to better coordination, better transfer of information, so on and so forth between the two organizations. Okay, is that clear? Between the two organizations. So we will see that what it talks about, what positive impact it will have. Okay. Next is the minimum import price. So we know the minimum support price in agriculture, but it is completely different from what the minimum support price is. This is the minimum import price. So we will understand what is this price, why is this price is in force, and why are we doing it for penicillin. In fact, there are other things as well. We will see the other things also that are involved. So we'll understand the concept of minimum import price, reasoning behind that. Okay. Next is the Mini Ratna status that is given for Yantra India Limited. Now this Yantra India Limited, some of the articles you may just find that it has been given the Mini Ratna status. Now the thing is that in Mini Ratna there are 2 categories. So it has been given the Mini Ratna 1 category status. So it has got Mini Ratna 1 category status. Then we'll see what is the concept of Mini Ratna, Navratna, Maharatna, and what all things, what all benefits do they generally get. Then you have the concept of circular economy in mobility. Circular economy question was asked in 2025. What is circular economy in prelims? Okay. Circular economy basically talks about you are, yes, reducing the use of certain things, then recycling the things that you have used, then reusing the recycled thing. So the same thing gets back into the economy. So that is why it is a cyclic economy or a circular economy. Now this circular economy is going to be specifically discussed with respect to the mobility sector. Mobility sector means your cars, your EVs, etc. will be involved. When your cars are involved, the tires of the cars are also discussed over here. Okay. So because see, we will see that, see, when you are shifting from petrol vehicle to electric vehicle, what happens to that petrol vehicle? Going to scrap sooner than it should have gone. Why? Because EVs are coming. So all the tires along with it also goes. So it is suddenly creating a increase in the waste of the tires. Okay. So all that is what we'll discuss here. Then you have the 16th Finance Commission. Very, very important. We will discuss in detail the recommendation, sort of it remains the same, but the criteria that it has used. So anyhow, we have discussed in our static class as well when we were discussing it. So here we will reiterate that discussion. Okay. So let's get started with the very first, the RBI ESMA. ESMA is basically European Securities and Markets Authority. India has SEBI, Securities Exchange Board of India, right? Now that Securities Exchange Board of India, what it does, it regulates which of the foreign portfolio investors should be allowed in India, which should not be allowed in India. But in India, that is taken care by SEBI with respect to the capital market that is there. The financial market, however, is as such is still regulated by the RBI, right? Now in European Union, you have the European Securities and Markets Authority, which takes care of majorly both, right? So that is why on one side you have the European Securities and Markets Authority. On the second side, there is RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India, from our financial market. So now they have signed an MOU with each other. Now MOU is simply a memorandum of understanding. Remember, an MOU just shows your intent about something. It cannot be legally binding. You know, for example, we can have an understanding that tomorrow, even though I may not have a class, we will conduct a class in the morning, and an MOU that we have signed. But is that legally binding? They are generally not legally binding. This will also not be legally binding, right? When this MOU gets converted into contract or XYZ other thing, then it becomes legally binding, right? Anyway, so what is this MOU all about? See, in India, our SEBI basically allows certain FPIs to enter the Indian market. How does it help? When these foreign FPIs are entering the Indian market, that means foreign money can get invested in India, right? So in the same manner, our industries will be there, our people will be there who would want to invest the money in the European Union market and vice versa, and they would also want to invest over here. Now that will only be possible if you have proper information transfer, coordination among the regulator of India and the regulator of European Union. So by signing an MOU, they are talking about cooperating with each other. They will talk about cooperating with each other, coordinating with each other, sharing the information that is required to each other. When you do that, what it does, it helps the people of one country to invest in another country. Okay? If the regulator says that no, we will not share any information, investing in other country will become difficult. But when the regulators are ready to do that, then what happens is it is going to increase the investment from one country to another. So it is going to strengthen India-European Union financial regulatory cooperation. So investment can increase. Not just that, the regulation can also be better when both the sides share the information. A simple example would be when you have double taxation avoidance agreement between two countries. So what happens? Both the countries share information. So all our information will be shared with another country, let's say Singapore, with whom we have double taxation avoidance agreement. Their country's people and companies' information will be shared over here with us, so that we exactly know how much I am earning, how much I am paying the tax, how much they are earning, how much they are paying the tax, in order to ease the process that is there. So it will strengthen the cooperation. Now the focus area here is central counterparties, that is CCPs, that are operating in India. Central counterparties. What is this central counterparties? They act as a bridge. So there will be European Union central counterparties, there will be Indian central counterparties. These central counterparties, they act as a bridge between one country and another. Now why do you need that bridge? You need that bridge because when people want to invest, if you want to invest in another country, there are millions of Indians who would want to invest. So will that country keep on doing the background check of each and every Indian? It becomes difficult to do that. Now since it becomes difficult to do that, what do you have? You have an intermediary. Like we have the foreign portfolio investor, that becomes the intermediary. So they will allow only certain foreign portfolio investors to invest. We will invest in our foreign portfolio investor, and that foreign portfolio investor will pool in all our money and invest in that country. So that country only has to vet this foreign portfolio investor. So in the same manner, this central counterparties are, this is just an example, not that important, but these central counterparties, they act as a bridge. Okay. So as I mentioned, it will allow smoother operations between Indian CCPs and the European banks, and it will increase the market participation, more involvement, more integration, more investment will be there. Okay. As I said, the nature of MOU. Now in this MOU, it is non-binding in nature. It's a non-binding agreement. As I mentioned, it is simply a statement of intent. You are intending to share the information and cooperate with each other. Tomorrow you might disregard that, that's not a problem. It may not be legally binding. General advice if I give you with respect to legal binding nature, you will see majority of these things that goes on, the conventions that are there. Conventions are generally non-binding in nature only. These conventions are non-binding in nature. Majority of the conventions are non-binding in nature. Only certain specific things becomes binding in nature. For example, the Kyoto Protocol, which has the binding element. But if you look at Montreal Protocol, again non-binding in nature. Why? Because it is very difficult also to make it legally binding and enforceable. You make it legally binding, USA does not follow. What will you do? So that is why it is better to mutually make them do things. That is why generally a lot of things are non-binding in nature, right? So no legal obligation, no enforceable rights, does not override the domestic laws. So nothing of concrete or legal binding nature is there. This is simply going to work with mutual agreement, mutual cooperation and mutual understanding. Okay? Duration effective from the date of signing. So whenever you want to implement it, now there is this just memorandum of understanding. So the day of signing of that is when it will be effective, valid for an unlimited period. Basically, the better wording here, the article could have used is indefinitely. Let's say indefinitely, it is up to indefinitely it will be in force. Okay? Easier access for European banks and their investors to Indian market, as I said, because information exchange is there. So their banks, their market knows the information about Indian high net worth individuals, Indian companies. So it will be more easy to invest. So this is what it will do. International confidence will build in RBI's regulatory standards. How this is a very highly likely event. Why? Because when all the informations are transferred and everything is in proper shape, that means the ESMA will give not a official certificate or anything, but they will know that in India the regulation is quite good. So that will spread around the world that India's regulatory bodies work quite well. It will enhance the credibility of Indian CCPs also. India-European Union strategic economic ties. So it will basically lead to more integration between India and the European Union. This is a very generic thing. Whenever you sign any FTA, whenever you talk about transfer of information, it is going to lead to more integration among the countries. You can also sign an agreement for transferring your defense information with respect to the navies, where it is stationed, what it is doing. So that helps in your naval cooperation in the international waters. So the Indian Navy does that also. So that is also going to improve the strategic partnership with whichever navy you do. So in the same manner, here it is going to be strategic economic partnership. In defense, it becomes strategic geopolitical partnership or just simply strategic partnership. Okay. Next is about, yes, this is important, minimum import price. Minimum import price on penicillin plus, this is another activated pharmaceutical ingredient 6-APA and amoxicillin. So penicillin G and its salts means its related products, 6-APA and amoxicillin. These are, what are these? What is penicillin? Yes, who invented penicillin? Yes, Alexander Fleming. In our school days we used to study. So this is basically a narrow antibacterial. Narrow range antibacterial means, see, there are different levels of bacteria, multi-drug resistant bacteria, then the superbug. So it will treat only few of the antibacterial ailments that are there. That is why it is narrow band or narrow range antibacterial. Right. Now, what is the issue here? What is this minimum import price? So minimum import price basically means these penicillin, let's take an example of penicillin. So this is India. Penicillin, let's say, is coming from China, for example. Now China can possibly, without providing subsidy also, just because of improved efficiency of production, XYZ reason, China can supply penicillin at a very cheaper cost to the country. Right? When they will supply this at a very cheap cost, what will happen? There are industries producing penicillin in India also. So those industries will close. So of course, there is a concept of what? Custom duty, countervailing duty. So a similar concept is what? Minimum import price. That we will import this, right? But you cannot dump it at a very cheap cost. You cannot dump it at a very cheap cost, because if you dump it at a very cheap cost, it hampers the Indian market. So imports below this price, below that price of minimum support price, we will not be importing that particular thing. So imports below that price are not permitted. That means what? That means if we set minimum import price as 100 rupees and China was sending it to us at 80 rupees, okay, we will get this, but in the Indian market it will be at 100 rupees only. That is the minimum import price. Below that, we will not allow the Chinese penicillin to flood the Indian market. When we do that, that safeguards our Indian industry who is producing that. Okay? Now, the flip side of this is we do still import activated pharmaceutical ingredients from China, but this penicillin and all that and the ingredient that they need, we have enough and we can suffice our own population. That is why we are coming up with this minimum import price. You should remember these three names on which it is imposed. In prelims, this can be directly asked. Okay. What is the aim of doing that? To regulate the imports, to control the imports, curb the low-cost imports, cheaper goods coming into India, especially from China. Especially from China, because see, China holds the highest amount of activated pharmaceutical ingredients is with China. And China is the production house of the world, especially from China, we are going to curb it. So China, around 70% of the raw material that is used by Indian pharmaceutical industries. What are these raw materials? These are activated pharmaceutical ingredients known as APIs. So this is what China has around 70% of supply is from China. Import value of these are around 10 to 12 billion dollars. Right? When we set a minimum import price, the demand for the Chinese penicillin and all will reduce and the Indians will get prominence. So this is also going to come down. Okay? So, and if the low cost keeps on coming, it is going to threaten our domestic activated pharmaceutical ingredient products. Clear? Is that clear? Okay? Sure. So I have said what is minimum import price. It's a government mandated temporary floor price below which you do not permit the goods to enter the country. Okay? Objective I have already said, to protect the domestic industries, to curb the cheap imports that are there, predatory imports that are there, dumping of the imports that will happen, all these gets avoided. Okay? Exemptions. There are certain exemptions. You should remember that. Exemption, for example, the SEZ. SEZs, what are SEZs? These are sort of considered to be a foreign territory for the purpose of taxation. The taxation, the tax laws in these regions are different from the tax laws in the rest of the country. So there might be certain products on which custom duties would be there throughout the country. If it is coming through Mumbai port, Chennai port, wherever port, you have custom duty on that. But let's say in Gujarat there is an SEZ and it comes to that SEZ and it is purchased by the industries in SEZ, then the custom duty might be waived off. So in SEZs, there are different tax laws than the tax laws in the rest of the country. So for SEZ, it is exempted. And second is 100% export oriented units. 100% export oriented unit means I have an industrial unit which is producing things for exporting. An example for this can be, let's take an example of the crude oil. You know, India procures crude oil, India converts it into petroleum, and then India sells that petroleum also. So let's say, Reliance has a sister company or one establishment wherein the crude oil gets converted into petroleum, and the entire is sold off as an export. So if you are getting these penicillin activated pharmaceutical ingredients, converting it and let's say exporting it to Bangladesh, Pakistan, or not Pakistan, of course, we are not trading with them, but Bangladesh, Myanmar or Bhutan or Nepal or any other country for that matter, if that is the reason, then also you will get the exemption. Or if it is in the SEZ, then also you will get the exemption. Okay. Next is imports under advance authorization. What does this mean? You might already have certain contracts, advance contracts, under which you have promised certain tax rebate, etc. If any kind of these things are there, again you can get it at cheap. ठीक है. About the penicillin, as I said, narrow spectrum antibiotics. That means it is going to basically affect only small spectrum of the bacteria that are there. Generally, it is used for a cold cough that is there due to bacterial infection that can be treated through this penicillin. Okay. This is another thing is it has poor oral absorption. So if it has poor oral absorption, penicillin injections are there actually. Penicillin injections are also given. Now these injections can be intravenously or intramuscularly. Intravenously means directly into the veins. Intramuscularly means into the muscle membrane. It is given into the muscle membrane, right? This muscle membrane goes deeper, right? So you have the skin, you can see the veins over here, that is intravenously. Below that there will be intramuscularly, it will go deeper, it will go into the muscular membrane that is there. Okay, so if you remove the skin and see the human body, which you might have seen in school, colleges, books and all, so you have the veins and underneath it are the muscles that are there. So generally you should remember the muscular one goes deeper, the muscular injection goes deeper, venous injection is not that deep. Okay? So, and why you are doing that? Because poor oral absorption, right? What you take orally, it will not follow the same path what you take through injection. That is why the injections are more effective. Many people, they don't take the medicine. You take the medicine, it will require 3-5 days for you to recover. You take an injection, it is going to be immediate. Okay? Anyway, so this is what it's all about. Next is the Mini Ratna status for Yantra India Limited. So what becomes important for you is what are the Maharatnas. You should know some of the Maharatnas, some of the Navratnas, some of the Mini Ratnas also you should remember because it is in news. Now, what is this concept? So here it is mentioned actually, Mini Ratna category 1 status is given. Okay. So what is this status and why it is important? So the news is about given to the Yantra India Limited. What does Yantra India Limited do? Produces ammunitions, right? Produces ammunition. What is ammunition? Bullets. Bullets in the pistols, in the revolver, in the rifle. So it generally produces medium to high caliber bullets. Medium to high caliber bullets. So in the revolver you will have small bullets, low caliber. In the rifle and all, in the rifle you will have bigger, longer. So that is high caliber bullets. So it produces generally medium to high caliber bullets. And the Defense Ministry has allocated this status. The Defense Ministry has granted the status of category 1 to Yantra India Limited. It is, of course, is it a private sector company or a public sector? It's a public sector enterprise. The status of Mini Ratna, Navaratna, Maharatna is given to public sector units only. Okay? Clear? Sure. Now let us understand why all these benefits are, why this is given. So you have the concept of, as I said, Mini Ratna category 1 and Mini Ratna category 2. Then you have Navratna and then you have the Maharatna. See, the idea is these, now the PSUs, the government wants the PSUs to do well. So the government comes up with an with certain benefits which certain PSUs will get if they do well, right? So if you are making profits consecutively, right? So you can be considered as Mini Ratna category 1. But if you are making profits which is beyond a certain level, more than 300 crores rupees of profit you have made over the average of last 3 years, you will be considered as a Mini Ratna category 1. That means you have done some achievement, that is why you are getting this crown of Mini Ratna category 1 or 2. Now, when you are getting this crown of Mini Ratna category 1 or 2, because you have done something well, so you should get some benefit. What is that benefit? That benefit is these companies overall get certain allowance that they allowance as in they are getting certain flexibility of spending the money for their development. So that money, there will be certain limits that will be there, and they can spend that money without government approval, without the government approval. So they will be allowed to spend money without the government approval. The limit is the least for Mini Ratna. It is going to be higher for Navratna and the highest for the Maharatna. Okay. Now, another thing is, a company or a PSU cannot become a Navratna without previously being Mini Ratna category 1. Right? So for a PSU to become Navratna, they have to previously be Mini Ratna category 1, plus they have to score minimum 60 out of 100 marks in 6 different parameters. In 6 different parameters. These parameters are your profit to asset ratio, your percentage of technological advancement. Basically, majority of it is related to the profit. So there are total 6 parameters. We have discussed that in our book static. We will be discussing in our class. For other batches we have discussed. So these 6 parameters has a total weightage of 100. So this company has to score 60 or more and should be a Mini Ratna category 1. If this condition is satisfied, it will be given the crown of Navratna. Okay? So it's not some bias or dole or charity. It is a very objective criteria based on which it will be given the Navratna title. Then, to become a Maharatna, you have to be previously a Navratna company. If you were previously a Navratna company and now you are having a profit of more than 5,000 crore every year for the last average of 3 years, you will be given the title of Maharatna. Okay? Is that clear? Now the question is, why this parameter, 6 parameters are not included here? It is already a part of it because it already has to be a Navratna, right? And when they become a Maharatna, they will get some more leeway of spending more money on a single project or aggregate of money in aggregate of project without the government approval, right? If you want to know the percentage for Navratna, it is basically 15% of their net value, net worth. 15% of their net worth. For Maharatna, it is again, I think 15% of their net worth here also. So net worth percentage is same, but the idea is for Maharatna, their net worth is going to be higher. That is why they will be able to spend higher. That is all. So about this Yantra Limited, we have, of course, we know that it is a PSU. Okay. This much of detail may not be required. 1st October 2021. This is important. Functions under the Department of Defense Production. So Department of Defense Production, which is of course under the Ministry of Defense. Now what are the key products that it comes up with? So you have the assembly products of medium and large caliber ammunition. So these are medium and large caliber. You can see these are medium and big size of bullets that are there. Okay. Armored vehicle, artillery guns. Okay. Artillery guns are basically those guns which will be, you have gone to airports, you might have gone to airport. There is this tank shape of a vehicle is there. On that there will be a gun-like system. That is an artillery gun. That is an artillery gun which will be attached to any vehicle or any particular thing. So that is artillery gun. Main battle tanks are also made by them. The components that they use, carbon fiber composites, glass composites, aluminium alloys, all these things are they are using, but this is important. Assembly products for all these things. Okay? This is what it makes. Yes. So now they can incur a capital expenditure of up to 500 crores. What is important here is without the government approval. Without the government approval. Okay? Yeah. So the presentation I think which you will be getting, here are certain names of the Mini Ratna companies that are there. Bharat Dynamics, NHPC, SJVN, Midhani, MMTC, all those are mini Ratnas. Mini Ratna, theek hai, you can remember some of them, but very important to remember some of the Maharatnas that are there. Around 12 Maharatnas or something is there, so you should know their names. ठीक है, चलिए, ठीक है. This is a very generic thing, especially important for your mains. Because of this, what happens? Focus on Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now you are giving more flexibility to them. They can expand more. They can do more capital expenditure. More capital expenditure means equipment, machineries, which is going to increase their production further, which is going to lead to more production. More production means we will not have to import the defense equipment. We can manufacture our own self. That is the idea. ठीक है? That's what it says. Reinforces Atmanirbhar Bharat vision. Atmanirbhar means independent India or self-dependent India. ठीक है? It will lead to lower import. If we manufacture more and better, it can increase our exports also. These are the usual benefits that will come out of it. Next is the concept of circular economy. Now, why in mobility? It is in news because Niti Aayog has launched 3 thematic reports. So there was this International Material Recycling Conference in Jaipur, wherein Niti Aayog has launched 3 thematic reports. The 3 themes here is the old life vehicles will be there, the tires will be there, we will see that, and the third is the lithium ion battery or the Li-ion battery that we say. Okay? This is the end of life. First theme is, so you should remember the themes. One is, or the focus area is, end of life vehicle. Second is the waste tire. Third is e-waste, and then you have the lithium ion batteries. End of life vehicle means what? The vehicle which has surpassed its life cycle or lifetime. So after, let's say, 15 years, the vehicle needs to be scrapped. Okay? However, the government has given a provision. If your vehicle is 15 years old, if your 4-wheeler is 15 years old, you have to scrap it. If you want to ensure that you don't scrap it, then you need to take again permission to not get it scrapped. Now, in that permission, there will be various checks that will be carried out on the vehicle. How much does it pollute? How much is the carbon emission? So on and so forth. If it is found fit for consumption, fit for use, it will be allowed, or that re-registration of the vehicle might be denied also. Then you will have to scrap it. Right? So that vehicle which has reached its scrapping age, right, the utility age is gone, is known as end of life vehicles. Then you have the waste tires. See, the tires, they have threading in them. Threading which is important to provide friction to the tire. So if you look at this tire surface, so there will be this kind of gaps in them, right? And there will be more gaps in them. So these gaps, which, grooves are there, they act as what? They provide friction. If you apply brake, the vehicle is going to stop. But because of continuous running, there will be wear and tear. So what will happen? It will become smooth, right? Those grooves will be gone, it will become smooth. When it becomes smooth, you can get it maintained, you can do the threading, and you might be able to use for some more time, but there will come a time wherein you cannot use it, there will be no grip only. It will not stop, it will skid, you will fall, all those things will happen. So those tires are generally the waste tires, right? Now that will happen when the vehicle is, not just vehicle is ending life, vehicle can last for 15 years. Your tire can become waste tires 3, 4, 5 years only, depending upon how you are using it. Right? But also what is happening is, many people, since they are shifting to electric vehicles, there is more, or there is increase in the waste tires. Okay? Because you are going with new tires. So the scrapping of the old vehicles are also more. 10 years, 12 years, the vehicle is getting scrapped. So the entire tire and everything goes with that. So there is a sudden surge of the waste tires. So this is the second theme. Third is the theme of e-waste. India is anyhow the dumping ground of e-waste for the first world countries. That is also there. Plus now India itself has its own e-waste. Because of such a huge population, internet, smartphones is penetrating in the remotest of area as well. And what we do is, new models keep on coming. Our frequency of new phones have also increased. Previously, it used to last longer, it lasts less. Now what happens, every new year, new iPhone, all these things are contributing to increase in the electronic waste. Smartphone is just one of the things. There will be iPads, laptops, this, that, chargers also, everything. The batteries specifically are also a part of e-waste. Now specifically out of this is your lithium ion batteries. This lithium ion batteries, which are basically, generally our phone has lithium ion batteries. In fact, the electric vehicles, Ola electric vehicle as well also are having the lithium ion batteries. Now they are quite efficient, right? They are better than the acid batteries that used to be there. You know, right now, let's say if you also look at your, anyone has inverter at home? Inverter, you have inverter? Which battery it has? Lithium ion or acid? Acid battery. So in acid battery, what happens? Anyhow, there's a liquid acid which keeps on falling, refueling, all that thing happens. The number of cycles is very less in acid batteries. Number of cycle means what? See how the cell works. This is your anode. This is your cathode, right? When you are using it, this is the flow of the current, right? And so this is discharging. When you charge, the flow is reversed, right? So there is the number of cycle. Now every time it discharges and recharges, its capacity decreases. Its capacity decreases, right? Because of that, the number of cycles for an acid battery is very less, because with every discharge and recharge, the efficiency reduces. Lithium ion has a higher efficiency. So lithium ion can give you more repetitions. Since it can give you more repetitions, it is going to last longer, but there will come a time that it is also going to die down. And then it will lead to a huge issue of the lithium ion battery. Now that issue we are not facing that much right now, because the electric vehicles have been recently introduced. The cars, even the two-wheelers, etc., they have started coming prominently in the last 1 year, and it will keep coming more in the next couple of years. It will also increase. Now these vehicles will lead to lithium ion battery waste after 5 years. So after 5 years, there will be a sudden increase in the lithium ion battery, and from there on, it will be complete increase only in that. So we have to focus right now only how to dispose them. So this is your fourth focus area which they talked about. Now let's take up the first one, key highlights for end of life vehicle. So rapid urbanization, rising ownership of the vehicle, per capita income of the people is rising, number of ownership of vehicle is rising. In Delhi, when the government came up with the odd even formula, what people did is, you have two vehicles, both are odd number, let's buy another vehicle which is even number so that I can use it every day. And per capita income, you know, one of the reason for pollution in Delhi is also the fact that their per capita income is very high. When the per capita income of people living in Delhi is very high, almost everyone is using four-wheeler. You see very less two-wheelers in Delhi. In small areas also, small roads also, there will be traffic jam because everyone has four-wheelers and it is stuck. So that is, so basically one person is using the car, leading to more pollution. If you look at in tier 2 cities and all, two-wheelers will also be there, which are more efficient, less polluting. Two people are going on that vehicle, traffic wise also efficient, polluting wise also it is efficient. So that is one of the reason. In 2015, they had asked a question, why there is increase in pollution in Delhi? Of course, there is stubble burning. Of course, there is an onset of winter when the stubble burning starts, so that smoke remains at a lower level, right? And then at the same time, this per capita income, high number of ownership per capita of the four-wheelers is also one of the reasons. And coincidentally, what was happening was, Diwali was also coming at that time. So people started blaming Diwali only, and the Supreme Court declared a blanket ban on the firecrackers at that time, 5-6 years back, which again was not a good decision, because people are employed in firecracker industry. That is the first thing. You put a blanket ban, where do they go? Where are the jobs? What else they will do? Second, of course, it is a festival, people celebrate, so there is a curb on that as well. So a blanket ban was uncalled for, but yes, that is what had happened. So this is some statistics from 50,000 in 2016 to 0.08 million. That means 20 lakh. How much is this increase? 40 times. It has become 40 times. right? From 50,000 to 20 lakh, this is 40 times. Government targets 30% EV share by 2030. In fact, our transport minister had said that 100% of the vehicles will be replaced by EVs. Of course, that's an extreme statement. It may not happen, but the government has officially targeted 30% of electric vehicles by 2030. ELV projected to rise. ELV means end of life vehicles, projected to rise from 23 million right now to 50 million. That means it's going to double in the next 5 years. So the compound annual growth rate is way greater than 10%. That is how it is doubling in the 5 years only. Challenges. What are the challenges in this? There is something known as automated testing stations. As I have said, okay, you can re-register your vehicle if it has crossed certain limit. So for that, there needs to be testing centers wherein you get your vehicle tested and then you get it certified and re-registered. That number of testing centers itself is less. So when that number of testing center itself is less, it makes it difficult for me to get my vehicle re-registered also. And then if the traffic police catches me, there will be a challan and I would be asked to scrap that vehicle as well. So more number of vehicle will go on scrapping, as such more waste is going to be generated. Weak financial viability of the scrappage units that is there. Scrapping also is a problem in India. Scrapping means what they generally do is you have this car that is there, they are going to press it, they are going to convert it, whatever the iron, steel, etc., different metals that will be there, which will be sent to different places, utilized, recycled and reused, but that capacity is also less, so the vehicles also are lying there in the scrap yard only. Okay? Scrapping is a big issue. In fact, scrapping of ships in India is also a big issue. Next is the waste tires. So there is rising ownership and EV adoption. So since EV adoption is coming, people are disregarding the previous vehicle at a faster pace. So end of life tires are also increasing in this case. Issues in recycling is high value pathways like I'll explain what this is. Recovered carbon and tire retreading are underutilized. Tire retreading is what? I said that the tires consist of these treads. Now it gets worn off. So you can do the retreading of the tires also. But generally people don't do the retreading of the tire. Okay? How can you do see, anyhow the tire will be thick. In that the grooves. So if you look at, if let's say I draw this tire, so this is let's say the tire. Now this is the depth of the tire, right? If you look at from the top, this is the top view that you get. These are the threads in the tire, right? Because of movement, wear and tear, these thread gets worn off. That means these grooves which will be there, these grooves will be up to this level, which provides you some sort of grip. Now when this gets worn off, you can still create certain additional grooves up to this level and you can rethread that tire so that it has grip again, and you can still use that tire for another 5 years, for another 3 years. If this groove lasted 3 years, this groove is also going to last you almost 3 years. Now that capacity is not there, that particular thing is underutilized. You will not get rethreading. You see have you ever been to this rethreading shop? It is not there in India much. What you get is puncture shop will be there who repairs the puncture, or they will simply replace the tire, the tube, everything that is there. Rethreading is very less. However, generally for the trucks it does happen. Trucks, because trucks puncture, trucks rethreading is also chargeable a lot, and there is a machine that you need for doing rethreading and stuff. Okay? So that capacity they are saying is underutilized. Since this is underutilized, faster in 3 years it becomes useless instead of 4 or 5 years. Then you have the recovered carbon black. So from the tire you recover this carbon black, which can also be used in various industries as a raw material. So this is also not happening. In fact, when you rethread the tire, then also the waste that comes out can also be stockpiled and sold to the industries which uses carbon black. Okay? That is because rethreading is less, utilization of this is also less. ठीक है. Next is e-waste and the lithium ion batteries. This is all is an e-waste. A lot of it consists of lithium ion battery. For example, this will have lithium ion battery. This will of course not have it. So digitalization is leading to more of e-waste. E-waste projected to rise from 6.19 to 14 million metric tons by 2030. So it is going to more than double. Lithium ion battery demand projected to grow from 29 gigawatt hour to 248 gigawatt hour. That means almost it is going to become 10 times in the next 10 years. Okay? This is the case not just because of the gadgets, because lithium ion batteries are also used in EVs. And your phone is going to require very small amount, but the car is going to require huge capacity. That is why you see the huge increase in the capacity. Our car batteries are way more bigger than 10 times of the phone. So if all of the people who are owning the phone, even if 10% starts owning EV, what happens? The battery is hundreds of times bigger. So what happens? The capacity suddenly increases. Okay. Key challenges. Informal recycling is there, which uses risky methods, which leads to pollution, health risks, etc. So we need to formalize the recycling that takes place. Weak monitoring is there for these kind of activities. Monitoring needs to be strengthened. Inefficient recycling is also there, which of course increases the dependence on imported critical minerals. If we recycle better, we would not have to, buy more. Okay? Import more. What are the measures needed? You can, let's say, what is this? Link the deregistration to valid certificate of deposit. That means, see, this vehicle, when this vehicle is getting scrapped, so when the vehicle gets scrapped, your vehicle gets deregistered. So your number might be 123, it gets basically deregistered. That means this number plate vehicle is not going to be there on the road. Okay? Because duplicacy should also not be there. You might have scrapped it and then you use the same number on some else. That does not happen. So vehicle also needs to be deregistered as well. And re-registration is what? 15 years are over, you need to re-register in order to allow it to be floating over in the market. Waste restrict tire pyrolysis oil used to refine or approved industrial uses. See, pyrolysis. What is pyrolysis? Pyrolysis. Yes, what is it? Yes, very good, very good. So basically, this is burning in the absence of air. Okay? So we have to restrict this particular thing because this is also, of course, harmful. Mandate conversion of carbon char into RCB, the recovered carbon from the tire. So instead of burning it completely, recover it so that we can utilize it. Formalize the informal recyclers that are there, provide financial support, incentivize them. All those things can be done. E-waste lithium ion batteries, again, chemistry wise, this is important. In these batteries, there will be various other chemicals also. If there is proper identification, separation of different chemicals, it can be utilized in different industries. That is what it says. Notify chemistry wise or chemical wise metal composition for lithium ion batteries. Update the BIS standards for testing and purity benchmarks. That means you can have a higher threshold for these kind of things. Naxos creates shared recycling facilities. This is also fair enough. Shared recycling facilities. See, the idea is there is a concept of producer responsibility when it comes to the EVs, the electronic waste, that are there. So in that, when the responsibility is on the producer. Now in India, there are a lot of small producers also. So the small producer going for recycling, it will be very difficult. So there can be producer consortium that can be formed, and these producers can have a common recycling units which they can use to recycle. So create shared recycling facilities. Okay? Yes, online students, any questions you have? Yes, let's move on to the next important part, that is the 16. This is an old photo, old as in not very old, just round about the budget time. Okay, but the details have now been out of the 16 Finance Commission. Anyone read about 16 Finance Commission? Yes. What have you read? Okay. It has been same. Yes, very good. Yes, from yes, that is correct. 45 to 42.5. Yes, good. So that is good. See, let us see that in detail. So what the Finance Commission does, of course, it is under which article? Article 280 of the Indian Constitution. It does vertical devolution of the taxes. Vertical means from the government of India to the state government. Then it also does the horizontal tax devolution. Horizontal tax devolution means among the different states, it is also going to devolve the taxes. Okay. So vertical devolution, they have kept the percentage to be the same, that is 41%. In fact, I had mentioned in our static class that there has been a mandate to the Finance Commission was given to not lower the 41%. So Finance Commission could have come up with a higher number, but could have definitely not come up with a lower number. So what it has done is, it has kept this unchanged. In 2025, there was a question wherein they mentioned 15 Finance Commission gave 42, which was incorrect. 15 Finance Commission also 41. It was the 14th Finance Commission which had devolved 42% of taxes. Okay. Now, these horizontal devolution, because all the state governments are at the same level, that is why it is horizontal. Now this 41% is going to be distributed among the states. Now, in what proportion it will be distributed is decided by the different criteria which is here in front of you. So yes, you have income distance which was there previously, it is there now, however it has been reduced. You have population which was there, which is here now also, however that has been increased. That 2.5, let's say, comes over here. Demographic performance, it has been reduced, right? Area, that has been again reduced. Forest cover, it has been kept the same, right? Then you have tax and fiscal effort. This has been reduced. This has been reduced to 0. It's now not applicable. And contribution to GDP, which was not there previously, now it is 10%. This is what has happened. Now let us have a macro level understanding. I'll give you. At a macro level, what has happened is, we have a total of 28 states. Exactly 14 states have seen a slight decrease in the money that they, or the percentage of share that they would be getting, and exactly 14 states have seen an increase in the money that they would be getting. If you need to generally remember, the states that are going to get a higher percentage are the good states. It's a very rough word that I'm using, but they are the good states. So when we say good states, all the South Indian states are included. Plus, I have always talked about the state of Maharashtra, which is the richest state. All the South Indian states plus the state of Maharashtra has seen an increase in their share out of that 41%. The states that I have talked about, Bihar, for example, right? Those states have seen a decline. So you have the state of Bihar, which is going to see a decline over here. Okay. So this is general level of understanding that you should have. Now let us see why this is happening. This would only happen in a scenario wherein the good things, the good indicators that are there have improved. And the indicators which were rewarding not the performance, but by, let's say, population, may not have improved that much, right? So first thing is income distance. Income distance basically rewards the state which is not doing good. Okay. So how is income distance calculated? You have basically, you take the top 3 states. You take the top 3 states. So you have Maharashtra, you have, let's say, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, top 3 states you take. So you have top 3 states. What is their GDP? State GDP. You calculate that. You take an average of that. And then you compare the rest of the states with this top 3 state average. Correct? Then you will have certain states which are very poor. So the distance between the top 3 and then there is state 1, state 2, let's say state 3. This is closer. That means it is earning almost similar. But this is quite far. That means the distance is high. So when the distance is high, the state is going to get a higher money. Is that clear? That means income distance is something that rewards the state that is not doing well in terms of their state GDP. So what has happened? Percentage from 45 has gone to 42.5. So in a way, it helps the affluent states. It helps. You see, I am writing good states, but that's not the term that we should use. Other states are not bad as such. Okay? But you can say the states that have been affluent, the states that have been performers, have performed well. These states are going to get benefited. Correct? Population. Now population from 15 you have increased it to 17%. So it's not going to help as such. Demographic dividend is going to help demographic performance. But here you have increased. So we will talk in terms of affluent or performing states. So it helps. It does not help over here. So 2.5% of help that we were getting over here, we are not getting that help over here. It sort of balances it out. Then you have, let's talk about this elephant in the room, tax and fiscal effort. Tax and fiscal effort used to help the performing states. So you have removed it, made it 0, so it is not going to help us. But you have replaced it by contribution to GDP. So how much is the state of Maharashtra contributing to the GDP of the country? Very high. It's going to be good. How much is the state of Karnataka helping the GDP of the country? It is going to be high. So it is going to be good. So it is going to help the affluent states. And look at this percentage. It was non-existent. You removed 2.5 but you brought in 10%. So here it is a huge benefit that is coming. Then you have the area. Area you have reduced. So higher the area, more is the tax devolution. Now here it is a mixed thing. Mixed in the sense that Maharashtra has a good area, big area. Kerala does not have that big an area as such. But it is again a performing state. So it is sort of a mixed bag with respect to area. Uttar Pradesh has a big area, not a performing state. Madhya Pradesh has a big area, not a good performing state. So anyway, so this is sort of a mixed bag that is there for the states. To talk about next the forest cover. The forest, is there any change in forest cover? But there is a change. We have discussed in the class. What change is there? Percentage wise there is no change. Percentage wise there is no change. But the change is while calculating the forest cover by the 15th Finance Commission, they had taken into consideration moderately dense and very dense forest. There are 3 types. Open forest is there, moderately dense and very dense. Dense forest does not exist. Open forest, moderately dense and dense. So here they had taken moderately dense and dense forest in calculating the forest cover, right? This year, this time the 16th Finance Commission has included moderately dense forest plus very dense forest plus they have also included the open forest. So this is an addition. Okay? This is an addition. Now, what is this concept? Open forest is you have a tree. So this tree is covering this much of surface area. This is the canopy of the tree. So if there is a region, that region has tree enough to cover less than 10% of the region. The tree canopy is covering less than 10% of the region, then that area is an open forest. So the idea, this is tree canopy. So how much area does the tree canopy cover? So if it is less than 10%, it's an open forest. It is still a forest, but an open forest. If it covers if it covers, no, let's just hold on. We'll check the exact number. We should not mistake here because this is very important. It is just now coming and you have the direct report, so we should refer that. In prelims, it's very important to be exact. Else it's no use. Where is it, man? Where is it, man? These mobiles get updated and suddenly every system gets changed and now the WhatsApp has updated. So the visibility of media is now completely different. Just a minute. This, I think this is it. Yes, that's what I thought, that I am making a mistake here. So let's come back again. So open forest should have a canopy which is 10 to 40%. If the canopy of the trees is 10 to 40%, it is open forest. Now I remember it. Now if it is 40 to 70%, it is moderately dense forest, and if it is more than 70%, it is a very dense forest. It is clear? So what we should remember is this, and also what we should remember is open forest is now included under this. Previously it was not included. So now the states which would have less of moderately dense and dense but a lot of open forest will also get the benefits over here. Whereas if you look at the northeastern states and all, dense forest, a lot of them are there, so would have scored very good over there. But now the states like Karnataka and Maharashtra can also do good with certain regions wherein they are declared as open forest. Okay? So this is the idea. Now next here, what is remaining is the demographic performance. Now if you look at the demographic performance, in demographic performance, yes, it has been reduced. The 15 Finance Commission, what it did is, it basically looked at the total fertility rate. How much is the total fertility rate? If the total fertility rate is less, it is good, right? If it is high, it is bad. Now what they have done is, they have changed this total fertility rate, which is a direct number. You directly take the total fertility rate and devolve the taxes. Now what they do is, now they are taking the change in population between 1971 and 2011. Change in performance between 1971 to 2011. Now, how is that different? What difference does it make? The difference is, when you take total fertility rate, the total fertility rate of a state might have gone down right now, right? But for it to have an impact on reduced population, the impact will be later on, correct? So the affluent states have already controlled their total fertility rate and have already performed good in controlling the population in the 1970s, 80s, 1990s, 2000, 2010s, right? Whereas other states are reducing their total fertility rate now. See, please understand that there is a concept of replacement fertility rate. So the affluent states would have come at a replacement fertility rate and they may stabilize round about that. The other states will going to have lower fertility rate, and after 10 years again the affluent states may have round about the same total fertility rate, because reducing it further, it is very difficult. It's not the human nature to not reproduce at all. Whereas these states will keep on catching. So there will be increasing more and more returns to them. So the Finance Commission has done away with that concept, and Finance Commission is saying, I am going to reward those states that has performed well with respect to population control between 1971 to 2011. So which states will benefit? The affluent states who have controlled their population in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whose results would be seen in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, 2000 and up to 2011. Right now, the states that are controlling their fertility rate, the impact is going to be seen in the later on period. So this is the holistic understanding of the criteria that is there. Correct? Any questions? ठीक है. Other things are quite factual with respect to how much money has been transferred and all that. You can have a look at them. How much is given to the urban local body. ठीक है. Again, these specific numbers as such may not be that important. There have been allocation of this much amount to SDR, State Disaster Relief Force, State Disaster Mitigation Force. This is relief. Disaster has taken place. Relief. Mitigation means ensure that the disaster themselves do not take place. That is the difference. Fiscal roadmap it has given. Yes, we can discuss this. Central fiscal deficit, they have recommended to be declined to 3.5% of GDP by 2030-31. But the issue here is, Finance Commission is mentioning this, but the government in the budget is saying that we will target debt to GDP ratio, which gives them more flexibility. So it remains to be seen how much this will be targeted going forward. State fiscal deficit limit, they have kept at 3% of the state's GDP. States are actually doing well with respect to the fiscal deficit. States are ranging from 3.3 to 2.7% is the fiscal deficit range of the state, which is very close to that acceptable number. Okay, is that clear? Any questions with respect to Finance Commission? Very important, but UPSC may not ask any question or may ask a question. Okay, clear? Chaliye. Yes, let's try to solve this. Consider the following statements regarding RBI ESMA memorandum. It enables formal recognition of certain RBI regulated central counterparties by ESMA. Yes. Legally binding? No, it is not legally binding. So only one. Yantra India Limited, which one of the following statements is correct? One of the new defense public sector undertakings formed after corporatization of the Ordnance Factory Board. See this. Second, it operates under the Department of Defense Production. That is correct. Manufactures materials and assemblies used in ammunition, armor. This is also correct. This is 2 and 3. Okay. Next, yes. Which of the following waste streams were specifically covered in the recent Niti Aayog? End of life vehicle, waste tires, e-waste, and this. Construction and demolition waste is not covered. 1, 2, 3, and 4. With reference to recommendation of 16 Finance Commission, state share in the divisible pool of the central taxes has been retained. That is correct. New parameter related to contribution to GDP has been introduced. That is also in horizontal. You might as well forget if they do vertical over here. Then it will be what? No, what I am trying to say is sometimes when there is one long sentence, the long sentence can have two different facts. Generally, this statement is used to trap you with respect to polity questions on constitution. You know, there might be certain things, you know that is there, but that might not be a constitutional right. So it will say this provision is there according to the constitution. The provision is there, but not according to the constitution. So please read it completely. I myself was hurrying up here. A new parameter related to contribution to GDP has been introduced in the horizontal devolution. Yes, that is correct. If they write it vertical devolution, incorrect. Okay? So both are correct here. With reference to the recently imposed minimum import price on certain pharmaceutical inputs, consider the following statements. It's a permanent trade restriction under the it is not permanent trade restrictions. Okay? Under WTO, there is no permanent trade. Exemptions are provided for 100% export oriented. Yes. Anyhow, when you get 1 incorrect, 2 and 3 are right. The measure is intended to protect domestic active pharmaceutical ingredient manufacturers from low priced imports. Okay? Clear? Sure. So that's about it. Thank you. Please read the other news also from the magazine. And if you have any doubts in the next class, you can ask me. Okay? Thank you.